Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Kinze Service Training. The fourth session this week, so I know a lot of you guys have been with us all week. We really appreciate that, so thank you for being here. If you're just joining us for your first session this week, guys, today's topic is going to be fertilizer on the technology planters. My name is Phil Jennings. With me is Brandon Veneman.
Good morning.
Behind the cameras that you can't see, we've got Kurt Mann and, of course, Zach directing traffic on all our camera feeds and sound and everything else. But this wouldn't happen without some of the other marketing crew as well. So Sherry and Scott, those guys upstairs, thank you for all of your help this year for our training program. Guys, a couple of housekeeping events using the Teams format. We are not using chat. It kind of comes up on a fairly regular basis, but the chat function for meetings of this size just doesn't work well. So we are utilizing the Q&A function. So find that if you haven't found it yet. Guys, recognize that if you're using a mobile device, if you're on your phone and you're going through a web browser like a Chrome or an Edge, Safari, the Q&A function is not going to be found in that combination of things. So either download the app and use it that way, you'll find Q&A there, or slide yourself over to a larger screen on a tablet or a desktop, because we are going to try and get some close-up of the components and other things, and your screen size may help with that today. So recognize that we will be using the Q&A, and we're going to be looking for your interaction today through your questions in there. And as we complete the training today, as we have in the past, there will be a link to a attendance survey. So get registered for some free gifts. There's going to be some drawings at the end of our training program here, and also that registers you for the attendance on today's service training. We've covered lots of things this week. From the Blue Vantage display, the Blue Drive, and the communication components. We looked at hydraulics and the PTO pump package. Today is going to be fertilizer. But number one, great interaction, guys. Thanks for all the questions. That's what makes this work. So hopefully today will be the same way. Type those questions into the Q&A. But we've hopefully left some time at the end of the session today for a general open forum, something maybe we haven't covered or something you want more detail on. So please feel free to load those up in the Q&A, and we'll save some time at the end of the session today to try and hit those additional topics. But as always, guys, if there are questions or if you haven't been able to find the link for a previous session, dealerconnect@kinze.com. That's your email address for all of these questions and for any concerns with the training program. Please let us know at dealerconnect@kinze.com, and we'll get that information out to you. Have I forgotten anything, Brando?
I don't think so.
Okay. Guys, we'll jump right in then and start taking a look at fertilizer. So the week has been focused on technology planters. So all of our 5000 series product line. So fertilizer, some of you guys I know are saying, well, maybe I don't do a lot with fertilizer, but it's trending up, guys. What do those numbers look like, Brando?
Yep. So did a little bit of investigation this morning of our total technology machines, and I'm going to classify that just as the 5000s for this scenario here. We're looking at 37% of our total production for model year 26 is equipped with fertilizer. So as we start to walk around, this specific machine here, we'll just classify by 5900s, so that's what we're working with. It's over half, guys. We're at 52% of our total production for 5900s are fertilizer. So it's definitely out there, and it's definitely coming their direction at some point.
Kinze also released the dual product here for model year 26. So we do have that on this machine. But even those dual product requests continue to come in. In fact, so much so that we will be releasing dual product on the 5700 for next year, for model year 27. And guys, while we have had the request, I can't tell you what the roadmap looks like for that dual product option on a 5670 perhaps, but we'll see what the demand continues to do. But more and more interest in fertilizer. Kinze continues to make changes over time. Here a couple years ago, we went to the diaphragm style pump. We've got some more changes to come to show you this year. So I think we'll start with a little bit of a machine walk around and take a look at how this thing goes together. Yesterday we used a little bit different camera. This had some good feedback from that yesterday, meaning if we need some closer up shots of different things, let us know. We're willing to do that. If not, we're going to kind of stay back, keep it smooth, get rid of some of the choppy footage that can be sometimes coming from the extra camera. But let us know what you guys prefer. So right behind us, guys, the fertilizer tank package and what we will call a single product. That's where we're going to start. The base machine fertilizer, if you want to call it that, or base fertilizer package is single product. Okay, so our tank is mounted on the planter, and all of our pump and our controls, if you will, are mounted underneath the tank. So pretty self-contained. Those single product packages are also going to give you an auxiliary input option. So I can run an auxiliary input to the front so I can connect to a front mounted tank, or I could run an auxiliary product out the back so that I can hook up from a trailer being pulled behind. Now note that in all cases, guys, when I have the single product onboard tank, my quick fill will always come out the rear of the machine at your access stairs to the catwalk. Okay. So kind of gives you a little bit of the landscape. I'm going to walk around and look at the other side, guys, and we're going to look up underneath the tank and see what components are in there. Now, as I walk around, I'll let you know that the product or the components that we're going to look at may be a little difficult to see up and underneath the tank. We're going to look at the same components for our dual product on the back of the planter. So we will be looking at them twice. It's just where they're located and how they're oriented on the machine. So I'm going to grab my flashlight. Okay, first and foremost, if we follow product into the tank, guys, we come up and into the tank to fill it. So this is our supply line going to the pump. As I follow my supply line in, I have a primary shutoff valve. So when the system is off, that is closed. If I need to check my filter, I can do so. This valve is closed. I don't have to worry about head pressure off the tank. Guys, the primary filter coming from the tank is a 30 mesh screen. All right. So there's my filter. Guys, it's hard for you to see, I realize, but coming off that filter housing, there is a sending unit coming out of the top. This new system has a suction pressure going into the Blue Vantage so that if I start to plug this filter up, I'm going to get a warning and it's going to let me know that I need to stop and clean my filter before I have performance related issues. So a suction sending unit here. Here's my fluid indicator or my product indicator, guys. This has been used before. It's same as the low level indicator on the tanks. This makes sure that I don't run my pump dry. Even though with these diaphragm style pumps, it doesn't hurt them. It's not as critical as we used to know it being with the centrifugal pumps, but we're still going to make sure that an added safety. Inlet to the pump. All right, so now we have product to the pump. Guys, the diaphragm style pumps have been fantastic for us, very reliable. Gives us a lot more variability so that we can variable rate with prescriptions at much wider range of speeds. And the crankcase is completely full of oil. Okay, we should be able to look at a sight gauge on top of the pump and with a quick visual see that there's oil in there and that crankcase is full. All right, so product coming out of the pump, and here's where I realize it's going to be difficult to see, guys, but as we come up to our main valve for the product when it's running, I'm going to always have a certain amount of recirc that comes up here, approximately 4 gallon worth of recirc all the time back into the tank. As I come off of that, I have a filter as well, and this is an 80 mesh filter coming out of the pump. Guys, here's where it's different, and I realize once again most difficult to see, but right in here is our flow meter. And that's something we'll talk more about as we go along here, because up to this point, to make sure that we could hit all of the rates that we wanted to hit from low end to high end, we had two independent flow meters going. Okay, we had a low rate and a high rate. We've been able to consolidate those into a single unit and be more accurate with the readings at all of those flow rates. It's an EM or electromagnetic flow rate. So that is a change for this year, and it's really simplified the system. As I come off of that, I have two pressure outlets, the transducer that gives me rail pressure to the Blue Vantage, and then I've got my line that gives me the gauge that we can see from the tractor as a mechanical reference to the pressure, and then of course out to my rails. Okay, so following the product through the system, pretty simple. We can see that there's been some great changes to simplify things like the flow meter. It's some opportunities for more information like the suction pressure that we haven't had in the past. So some good changes to our fertilizer package. Okay. All right, we're going to go around to the back, guys, and take a look at the dual product component. Dual product, been asked for quite some time. Guys have done it with aftermarket products. And effectively, we still want to capture that data. We want to make sure that it's giving us everything that we want and control through the Blue Vantage as well. So in this particular case, what I described as an auxiliary hose going up front is our primary for product number 2. So that product number 2 coming in, so all of our same components, guys, I'm coming in, I have a main shut off so that when the system is not being used, I don't have anything coming into it from the supply line. Primary filter is my 30 mesh, still the same. Here's that suction transducer that we talked about. So a little easier to see here, but this is what's going to give us the indication if I start to have foreign material plugging up my primary filter. In this case, I also have my product indicator or my safety, and effectively going up to the inlet of the pump. Okay. Now, what have we got here? Well, if we come back out of the pump, it looks like there's another filter housing at the top. Guys, that is an air purge to make sure that we can get things primed effectively. We come out of that and we have product coming down in, and here's our flow control valve, right? This is where I get my recirc back, that 4-gallon that we talked about. And in this case, there's no sump on a tank. We're going right back into our primary input line as our recirc, okay? Here's our 80 mesh filter for the system. Here's that new flow meter. It's a lot easier to see here than it is underneath the tank. And then as we come out, here's our mechanical gauge for rail pressure, and here's our pressure transducer for the Blue Vantage reading on that rail pressure, and then product out to the rails. Okay. Now, I may have overlooked it a little bit, guys, but on both product number 1 and product number 2, or the onboard system and the remote system, however you want to describe it, I just mentioned from that air line at the top to get rid of air as we're purging the system and starting product. All right, maybe more important on the remote tank, or makes things easier, but we've also made sure that you have that on the product number 1 as well. So you will see, I forgot to mention it, but you will see that there is an air valve that's right on there, and we can open it up until we get product coming out and purge all the air out of the lines as we're priming the system. Okay.
Hey, Phil,
Yeah.
what is the GPM requirement for the second product pump?
All right. Second product pump. Good question. And a reminder that if we do dual product, that second pump is actually connected to a remote on the tractor. We talked the other day about our PTO pump system and doing everything, if you will, but even that can be stressed if we add too many feature sets. This second product pump will have a separate set of remotes going to the tractor, number one. So it's not something that's a big concern for the onboard system, but rate will change, obviously change that. We're going to be looking at roughly 4 gallon, 5 gallon is going to be a good rule of thumb on average application settings. Okay.
One more question, actually, while you're back there. Are you going to have any options for second product tanks on board the planter?
Right now, all of our second product options from the factory are going to be off the machine. We have a capacity, if you will, with seed and fertilizer as far as the design, as far as wheels, tires, and yes, going forward, we have track options on our 5900s. But even so, by design characteristics, we're going to keep that second product off of the machine. Okay. Great questions, guys. Keep them coming, please. The other thing that I guess I would mention is, yes, this is new for Kinze, but it's also common parts, guys. The diaphragm style pumps, the Banjo branded fittings and filters and other things like that, flow controls, et cetera, et cetera. Yes, we've designed it to be incorporated into Blue Vantage so that we have all the control functionality, the data capture, et cetera. But guys, there are a lot of these components that you probably have there for other applicator products, sprayers, et cetera. So recognize that if we do need to make a change, whether it be in our quick fill hose location or we want to modify something or we want to change a fitting to get something else in play, don't be concerned about that. We do have, these are all common fittings that I'm quite sure that you have locally. All right. All right. The other thing that's probably good to mention, guys, is manifolds. One of the things that has changed over time is how we do the manifolds on the toolbar. And am I still in frame there? Okay. Guys, and I'll move a little bit, but you'll notice that I've got short chunks of manifold, right? I've got short chunks of manifold. Instead of having each one on individual row unit, we've condensed them for easier serviceability, right? If I need to change orifices based on application rate for a product, I'm going to be able to do all of my section right here rather than having to go row to row to row. So it's a little bit of a different philosophy than maybe where we've been in the past. We've had these for a couple of years now, but it's really proven out. And also, as we talk about a dual product, it's given us more room to do that. Okay, so effectively right here, I have two identical manifolds. They will be labeled as a product 1 and product 2. So when you get back to this point and you can't tell the difference, they will be labeled. But we can do it all in very small areas of work, and the same going inboard. Okay, so we are trying to do some different things to make it easier from a serviceability aspect as well. Okay.
How many GPM recommended for the second pump required? Is there a PWM in place for that pump?
Okay, good question, guys. And actually, this is the one that might be easier to see, well, either place. But yes, pump control is still PWM controlled. Okay. Brandon's playing cameraman a little bit here too. But on the second product pump here, you'll notice it has a very similar look. It's a manual override PWM valve. So normally we're going to have these screwed all the way out, let the controller run it. If we needed to check it, we could turn it in and manually start that pump and make sure we have hydraulics there. So they are PWM controlled. And like we mentioned before, the actual gallons of use will vary depending upon application of product. But you might as well figure on an average of that 45 GPM availability in case of need. Okay. All right. I think we'll come back around then. Like I said, quick orientation on where things are located, guys, and recognizing that we have some very comparable components on both systems, the product 1, product 2, as we keep calling it. Brandon, you've got a list put together there on what is the same and what's different. Why don't you bring that up for us?
Yep. Give me 1 second here.
While Brandon's bringing that up, we do have another question. Has Kinze considered, or do they offer bracket for sprayer tips to apply herbicide?
At this point in time, the answer is no. All of our product application has been in I'll call it a stream or an open-ended applicator, like an in-furrow applicator. We're not, even though we're running through an orifice and carrying a rail pressure, we're not doing it through a spray tip. So at this point in time, Kinze does not have anything to offer in that regard. All right.
All right. I was kind of talking through this chart here. I'm sure most of them have already probably started reading it, but some similarities and differences across both systems, guys. I'm going to start with the similarities. Phil already hit on it as we walked around the machine. But regardless if you're using a single product versus a dual product configuration, guys, it's going to be the same parts. So Phil mentioned not only the ease of sourcing them locally if needed, but they're going to be using the same sensors, flow meters, same pumps, same strainers and whatnot. So don't have to have certain special parts for one product system compared to the other.
The other one that's on there, Brandon, is which one do you use for product 1 and which one do you use for product 2? If you're doing a low rate in furrow versus a higher rate behind the closing wheels of the wide drop, for example, do we have to pick one versus the other? And the answer is no. Guys, quite honestly, both the systems being designed the same will have the same rate ranges available to them. So customer is going to start looking at where I'm carrying the product, how much product am I carrying, type of thing, as far as what works best for them.
Yep. And like Phil mentioned as well when he was walking around the machine, guys, product 1 are onboard tanks. It's always going to be the onboard tanks. We got that 4 gallon per minute agitation back to the tank. That's being controlled by our PTO pump system, like we mentioned a couple days ago. But you're also going to get the tank level sensing, which would be new for model year 26. We had those sensors implemented on our 5670 for last year, but moving forward, it is going to use a radar style sensor to determine how much product we have left in the tank. So that will be available for product 1 or onboard tanks. And that's going to be on all 5000 series machines. Obviously with product 2, like Phil said, guys, we're pulling from either saddle tanks on the machine or a rear trailer. So we don't have the potential to use a level sensor there because it's not part of our on-planer tanks. And then you're going to get that 4 gallon per minute agitation back into the suction line instead of the tank. So yeah, and it's available on 5900 for this year and 5700 for next year. So it is coming.
All right. I think what we'll do next is start looking at maybe a little bit more in depth on the pieces and the parts within how we make the settings and adjustments. So we're going to jump into our Blue Vantage display again and use that to move forward with the conversation. The Blue Vantage is, we've tried to push that all week, guys, is really a go-to spot. That's where the guys don't necessarily have to keep the operator's manual out and everything else, because we're building all of those self-help features, diagnostic features into the display. So if we go into training mode again, which is settings, and then find your training mode, we use this all the time. We continue to encourage you guys to use it with your customers as well. So Brandon's firing us up a 5900. So getting into a task in this case, we can go in here and we've got our fertilizer turned on, product 1, product 2. How do we set it? I'm going to tell you that my product 1, I'm going to run as my in-furrow. Okay, so product 1, in this particular case, I've got an in-furrow applicator. I want 5 gallons of the acre. It looks like you're already there. But if you go in and look at your application rate, guys, you can go up or down with it. Okay. And back up just a minute. How did we get there? All right. I've got my normal application rate there. Doesn't do it automatically.
It's a trick question, Phil.
That's a trick question. Guys, we still have to apply the right orifice so we keep a rail pressure for the rate range and speed range for the machine. And if we don't know what that is, there on the left-hand side, guys, go to the chart. It's built in. So here's where we can, number one, check our row spacing. In this case, I'm working on a 30-inch 5900. I'm going to tell you that rate ranges between 4 and 6. I can run a prescription for each product. So if I was running prescription, I could put my rate ranges in there. And how fast am I running? I'm going to tell you that predominantly we are going to run in that 7 to 9 miles an hour. We may see some a little bit less than that, but typically not running much over the 9 mile an hour category here at home. So that gives us the range. Well, instead of guessing on a chart, we can have a little bit easier time to see, okay, I have choices, right? The display wants to choose a 41 orifice, right? But what orifice got shipped with the planter when it was new?
Yep. So from the factory, guys, we're including the .037 orifice with the machine.
So could I use that?
Absolutely. If we come down here, guys, the Blue Vantage is telling us to use the .041 because that orifice is giving us the whole range. But if we don't want to purchase those extra orifices to bump it up the little size here, that .037 orifice based on this table is going to give us the majority of that range. So
okay, what's our color? We got green. Yep. And we got blue. I thought I was going to go 37 because it's green. That means go.
Good question. The different colors on this chart, guys, are going to be associated with the different mesh strainers that we have within the machine. So obviously, as we reach higher rates, we're going to decrease that mesh or take the strainer out. And as we get to lower rates, we're going to bump that strainer or that mesh up. So yeah, as we can see here, if we want to not purchase new orifices and rock with what we have shipped with the machine, chances are that 100 mesh strainer is already going to be installed on the machine as well. So if you wanted to bump up to that .041 like the Blue Vantage is recommending, you would then need to get 50 mesh strainers in addition to the orifices. So
the other thing I'll mention, guys, is the very left-hand side of the chart where the orifice numbers are located. There's also the up and down arrows talking about a jet. And we'll look at where that is or what that is here in just a minute. But on all of our lower rates, we will use a jet inside there to focus the stream through the flow meter to make sure that we get accurate readings. As we get to the larger flows, no different than removing strainers and other things, we're going to reduce resistance and we're going to get rid of the jet. We don't need it. But in this particular case, we're still on product 1. We're going to use material that we have already in the orifice. We're going to leave the jet in. We're going to leave the 100 mesh strainer in so we can jump back out of this orifice chart. And you can see that underneath the orifice now, we've already got selected the 037. It's telling us to use the jet and use the 100 mesh strainer. So that's kind of the cliff notes after you get done making your choices on where you want to be. And then that's also going to help make sure that the display can give you appropriate ranges as well. Here's a point that we could actually title our fertilizers, guys, for the example today. We're leaving it as an unspecified product, but we're more than easy to go in here and click in and add product descriptions. If you're adding micros or those types of things, you can put those notes in there as well.
Does the Blue Vantage show you individual row flow, or is it just a rail pressure or common flow reading?
Excellent question, guys. And you're going to catch us as we go through these, and we'll look here in a minute at what we're calling our individual row flow meters. But the Blue Vantage is giving you rail pressure, and the Blue Vantage is giving you total planter flow. This is in gallons per acre. The individual row flows that we talk about are on or off. At this stage of the game with the technology involved, it is just telling you, do you have flow? Do you not have flow at the individual row so that we can check for blockages? Okay. So the answer to your question is rail pressure and total output flow for the machine. Individual row is on or off. Okay, hope that answers your question. Let's do product number 2. So it looks the same, just noted as Fertilizer 2. Guys, this is the one that I want to put some more on. I've got drops behind my closing wheels, and I'm putting on a larger rate here. So I want to go on an average, I'm going to be putting on 12. I can see it vary from 10 to 14, but we're going to set it for 12. But I don't know where I need to go with my jet. It gives me an individual right now, but let's take a look at the chart. It still picks up my 7 to 9 mile an hour. I've got my 10 to 14 in here range. And in this case, it's giving me 2 choices, right? An 072 and 065. It looks to me, if I start at the left-hand side, we know that both of those are going to tell me to get rid of the jet, so I can reduce my restriction through the fittings. The only difference here is really, it looks like a strainer. So either I'm going to be clear down to that 50 mesh, or I'm going to take it out completely. So here again, choices can be made. Sometimes it depends on what we have on the shelf versus what I need to go buy. Nonetheless, in this case, we're going to go with the recommendation by the display. So go ahead and let's look at the parts though quick.
Yep.
All right, here's what we keep talking about: strainers and flow manifolds. These are the ones that are on individual rows or condensed on the manifold to control individual rows. Guys, it's a standard T-jet on and off. So this is a row shut off for us. If our seed turns off, the fertilizer turns off. Everything's keyed off of the seed command. All right. It shows our jet orifice in there. And guys, this is what's focusing that stream of product for the lower flow applications to make sure that the flow meter inside there, or the spinner, if you will, continues regular, consistent movement at the lower application rates. As we get through the flow manifold, we've got our strainer and then our orifice. You'll notice, guys, we do try to recommend that there is technically a directional flow for the orifice. The side that has the stamping on it should be pointed downstream or towards your outlet. So we do mention that there, and that we have seen orifices just get laid in there on top of the gasket. Technically, if we're changing orifices, guys, it should be installed within the gasket and then applied to the body of the manifold. Okay, so jets in or jets out are flow related. Strainers are flow related. Orifices are flow related. We're going to set up our products based on flow and speed. The other thing that I would add, guys, is recently had a conversation with a customer that had the desire, I should say, to do some test plot work, some other things. And even though this is a variable rate system, can be run on prescriptions, we can do all sorts of things on it, there are going to be limitations to it, meaning we could not achieve with one orifice the total rate that he wanted to apply at the speeds he wanted to apply. So that's why it's important to review these charts and understand, whether it be a test plot, whether it be a total farm application, but recognize that there are going to be upper and lower limits to the different orifice sizes and the speed rates at which we want to apply. And we may very well have to stop and change orifices at some point during the season to get all of those rate ranges in place. Okay. All right. Looks like we've got everything in place for product 1 and product 2. Is that all we need, Brandon?
Yeah, believe so.
All right. After that, guys, it's going to also on your task setup page give you that summary statement. All right. What have I got? What and where? And gives you those reminders as far as what the setup parameters are going to be. So trying to make it as easy as possible without opening a manual. All right. Guys, with that, let's kind of walk and clear through a system, different components, the setup requirements, recognizing that we've got a lot of opportunity. Um, Single product, that auxiliary is going to be front or back. We're always going to have the quick fill on the back of the planter. Um, Combinations thereof oftentimes are going to be very localized. So if you've got questions as far as setup or customers that have specific application concerns, don't hesitate to give us a shout. We'd be happy to help walk through that. As always, dealerconnect@kinze.com is a place to go with all of those questions.
Speaking of questions, we do have a couple.
Okay.
So our first question on a 5900, the two three-way valves for the main and auxiliary tanks. Customer is running 28% nitrogen. Theo Sol 1034-0, zinc and biological product. The valves are scoring and keep seizing up. What recommendations do you have to prevent this?
All right. Fertilizer is a very personal thing for a lot of guys. And I think your question is excellent because you start adding the micros and the biologics and all of the other things when you make up that application that fits your management, right? So neighbors are different. It doesn't matter whether you share the fence or not. Fertilizers seems to be always very different. Fertilizer is also very corrosive, as we all know. We start adding other products to it, we can become abrasive as well. Probably the biggest thing that we can tell you with any fertilizer product or any blend of liquid fertilizer is cleanliness. So when we're done, in some cases, even between products where guys will change those formulations a little bit, is very thoroughly rinse and clean out all of these items. So not just filters on a daily basis if we need to, but even in some cases, the controls. So guys, we've seen it not just in the strainers coming out from underneath the tank. In this case, we've got the secondary strainer after the pump, but we also find, especially with micros and other things that carry fine elements in them, excuse me, the strainers at the individual row shutoffs can be affected. So be aware that the more we add to these products, the more vigilance the operator is going to have for cleaning and maintenance of the system.
Have you seen any issues with the fertilizer flow manifolds clogging up if the customer uses the wrong mesh strainer or if the strainer comes apart? I have seen with Aggie sprayers where the mesh filters came apart and caused issues with nozzles clogging constantly.
Okay, yes, it's a risk any place we go, guys. The two-stage strainer that we've got in the current system with the diaphragm pump has helped that significantly. I've been in the field where we've had to manage the strainer size to help maintain a greater service interval between cleanings. So there are things like that that will be dependent upon product. The other wild card is also guys that store or maintain aged product as far as keeping things agitated and not having a lot of FM floating around in there. So always a risk, yes. The strainers themselves typically stay intact. It's been more of the product coming through them that we've seen be an issue with our systems.
This is a question from Richard. What about fanning peanuts?
Richard, as always, we appreciate your number one, attending service training, of course, but also your interest in specialty crops such as peanuts. If you're applying fertilizer on peanuts, we'd really enjoy to understand what that formulation is. Thank you.
Is there a calibration / manual measurement for liquid fertilizer system?
All of what we've talked about, guys, is outlined in the manual. We hope what we've also given you with the use of the Blue Vantage screens in regard to the setup and the chart and orifice settings, everything like that, makes it easier to do as that interactive screen on the Blue Vantage. So if you're looking for something different than that, or those don't fulfill your need, please let us know what that is, and we'd be happy to help. Once again, dealerconnect@kinze.com. I can't reinforce that enough. It's a great way to get a hold of us for any of these types of questions. All right, one of the questions was cleanup and cleanliness, and with fertilizer, that's huge. It was kind of a free question, I guess, to where we need to kind of wrap things up with fertilizer, and that is cleaning it out and making sure that it's going to be reliable for us going forward. So what do you do with fertilizer when you're at the end of the season? Okay, put it in a gallon jug and go sprinkle it on the garden, get rid of the excess. What are we doing with it?
Yep. Yeah, totally depends on operation, of course, but we have incorporated a couple features into the Blue Vantage, specifically our flush feature. It's a very good way to clean out the system. So use the flush feature, get all the product out of the tank. We can then dump water into that tank, run the flush feature again, and then of course winterize it. Dump some RV antifreeze in there and whatnot, and get that circulated through the system. So
how do I find that,
yep,
Brandon?
Zach, can you jump us back over to the Blue Vantage here quick?
Go to the home screen or find it.
Yep. So in order to get to the flush feature, guys, of course you will need everything powered up and communicating here. But we're going to go to actions up here on the right, and then flush feature over here on the left. So this is not specific to fertilizer, guys. This is a total system wide. So you'll see seed up here as well. If we have a little seed left in the bulk fill tanks, we can dump that as well. But we have the fertilizer broke down by products. So basically what we're going to do here, guys, when we turn this on, it's going to crank that pump all the way up. We're going to essentially dump liquid or product as fast as we can. So take out your orifices, take out your strainers, whatnot on the individual rows. That way we can get that fluid out of there as fast as possible. But like I said, flush it, get all the product out of the tank, fill it back up with water, flush it again.
Water for sure, guys. Too many times we see, oh yeah, I rinsed it out, and we still have some salting. We still have some other components that we find in these places. So the valve, even at the bottom of the tank you mentioned, could be one of those. So make sure that we flush well with water. And then typically, guys, the RV antifreeze is really what we want to leave in there to make sure that we don't see things oxidize in some cases too, but keeps everything in good condition during a storage period. So flush enough RV antifreeze through here so that we have that antifreeze product coming through the outlets at your drop tubes, whether that be your in-furrows or your openers or whatever applicator you're using. Make sure that we've got plenty of it in there. So how do you do that on the remote tanks?
Yeah, I mean, that's obviously going to be all specific to filling up those tanks with those products. But as far as BV functionality goes, guys, it's going to be similar concept here. We're still turning that flush feature on, using that PWM valve to open that pump all the way, and then we'll just suck the product from different tanks. So
okay, all right, guys.
We do have a few more questions.
Okay.
Do you suggest using a tank cleaner during the flush process?
I'm going to say that you certainly can, meaning some of that will be product related as well. The tank cleaner can definitely be of some help, especially if we're working with those additional additives and where you can see sediments as well.
Is there a service interval for the oil in the new pumps listed on the ops manual?
There is the diaphragm style pumps. While they have a easy maintenance schedule, there is a specialty oil recommended for those pumps because of the fact that, number one, as I mentioned, the crankcase is completely full. We're not checking a dipstick for an oil level. We're actually looking at a sight gauge that is clear above the level of the crankcase to keep it full and zero air. but we're also working on the back side of those diaphragms. So the AR oil is available through us. A lot of local suppliers carry it as well, but just because of the commonality of the pumps. But yes, watch for that service interval and keep your pump oil up to level as well as clean. The visibility of that sight gauge makes it pretty easy to see if there's any contaminants showing up in your oil. All right. Guys, that kind of wraps up where we wanted to be with fertilizer today, and it gives us a little bit of time here. We're at about 10:45. Little bit of time if we have any additional questions on other topics. We'd like to open it up here this morning. If there are things that we haven't covered or you would like additional information on, we still have our remote camera out, so if we needed to walk back around this machine and look at anything specific, we'd be happy to do so.
Will the dual product be available as a dealer installed kit on older models?
Excellent question. The answer is no. We say that, and with a lot of background and research, guys, the amount of change in the infrastructure of the planter as far as harnessing and communication wise just doesn't make it realistic as a dealer installed option. So at this time, the dual product is a factory installed option only. Good question. All right, guys. It's been a week. We've had an awesome attendance this week, guys. We can't say how much we've, number one, appreciated you guys taking the time out to be with us. And for a lot of you guys, it's been all 4 days, which is fantastic. We really appreciate you being with us for all of the days. Obviously, it increases your opportunity for the drawings that marketing is going to do and send you some other things. Zach is going to post again the link for today's meeting to make sure that you get registered for that. And for some reason, once again, we don't want it to be frustrating. We want this to be as easy or painless as possible. But if it's not working for you, just reach out, guys. Give us a shout at dealerconnect@kinze.com, and we will get you those links sent. But once again, thank you very much for being with us. We're going to continue to record these. These are going to be found out there on our Kinze YouTube channel as well. Kinze informational service segments. We talked earlier, we've got PTO pump mounts, we've got other row unit and metering, we've got other things. Hopefully these will continue to be of help to you down the road. And if you do have specific ideas or things that you would like us to do in the future, please let us know. So with that,
we have a question that just came in.
Okay.
Will there ever be an option to buy a bare bar?
Question comes up from time to time about buying individual planter components. Kinze does planter components at the row unit level and those types of things for replacement parts, damage, etc. But when it comes to the toolbar, the blue iron, Kinze has always been committed to a complete planter out the door. Years ago, yes, that may have been true, but since about 1980, Kinze has been committed to providing a complete planter out the door and not just the frames for them. So the answer is no, we will not be considering purchasing just a frame only. Thank you. All right. Guys, have a great rest of your week. Join us again and let us know how we can help as always here at Kinze. Kinze Manufacturing is always wanted to be service friendly, and I know that question comes up all the time. Our phone lines are still open. That 866-GO-KINZE hotline, that's 866-465-4693. Dealer Connect is always there too, so reach out and let us know how we can help.
One more question. Are you guys going to be mailing service certificates?
No, guys, we will not be mailing anything out. Your attendance is recorded with us by taking the survey. That's how we're going to take the attendance, and it's noted in our systems, but there will not be any other certifications being sent out. All right. Thanks, guys. Have a great week.